Hello, good morning, my dear children. Welcome you all once again for our lesson in the Kingdom of Fools by A K Ramanujan. I hope you will be remembering the class that we have taken the last days. Before that, let's have a review before coming to today's portion. Okay? This Kingdom of Fools talks about the story of a kingdom where everything is going upside down. Mainly, the king and the ministers all were considered to be idiots. And for them, they wanted to have a change in the perspective of their days, their works apart from the rest of the country and from the kings. And they ordered all the subjects to sleep during the daytime and to work during the night time. Okay? And this is the routine that went on in the kingdom of fools. And one day a guru and his disciple visited. But you see that after realizing the situation of the country, the guru thought of leaving the country immediately when he understood the foolishness that is happening all over there. But we see that the disciple remained there as he is so greedy for food. And also we have seen that one day after the guru left the place, the disciple was in the country, and after that one day a burglar robbed a merchant's house and he died on the spot when the wall had fallen on him. But what happened? The burglar's brother made a complaint to the court pleading for compensation and punishment for the accused. After hearing the complaint from the brother of the burglar, the king assured him that he will be given justice. Justice will be given to the brother. And the king started asking about what the thing actually happened, and he immediately called the merchant for building a weak wall in his house. And also we see that once the merchant was asked question related to the death of the man, we see that the merchant blamed the bricklayer who built the wall, and also he said that the wall was built during his father's time. So he was not the culprit for building the weak wall. And also we see that once the bricklayer was called and the trial was going on, the king found the bricklayer as a guilty person. He accused him guilty for building a weak wall that later on made this robber die when he was doing his hereditary job, that is stealing. Okay, so now last class we have seen that the king accused the bricklayer for the murder of the burglar. Okay, next paragraph. Students, you may take your textbook, page number 21. Before the king could order the execution, the poor bricklayer pleaded, "Please listen to me before you give your orders. It's true, I built this wall and it was no good. But that was because my mind was not on it. I remember very well, a dancing girl who was going up and down the street all day with her anklets jingling. I couldn't keep my eyes or mind on the wall I was building. You must get the dancing girl. I know where she lives." "You're right, the case deepens. We must look into it. It is not easy to judge such complicated cases. Let's get the dancer wherever she is." So what we see here in this paragraph is, once the bricklayer was accused for murder of the robber, before giving punishment, or when the king said that you will be sentenced to death, immediately the bricklayer pleaded, "Please listen to me. I want to say before the execution of my punishment. Please listen to me." Anyhow, the king was ready to listen to the plead of this bricklayer, and he said that actually, "Please don't find guilty upon me because I am not responsible for the murder of this person. I agree that I built the wall during the merchant's father's time. That I agree. And also I agree that yes, I made a weak wall. And you have to understand why I made this weak wall. And actually I was not the person who is responsible. There is one justification that I wanted to say regarding this. What is that? As I was just building the wall, there was a dancing girl who distracted me from my job. And she is the one who didn't make me or help me concentrate my eyes on the wall. She was just moving up and down the street. She is just moving up the street, down the street with the anklets. The sound of the jingling of the anklet sound. This dancing girl was moving up and down. So automatically, I just drew my attention towards the girl. So that made me build a weak wall. He said that, so please understand that I am not the guilty person. Actually, the lady who made me guilty is the accused person. Please, I know where she lives. Please call her and I'll help you to find out the place. Okay. Then we see that the bricklayer says that she is the culprit who diverted his attention, and the king understood the innocence of the bricklayer. He said, yes, I think the case has got deepened, and it's very hard for me to give a judgment so easily. We need to look clearly upon this case. Okay, well, first of all, we see that the king accused the merchant to be the murderer of the robber. Then we see that the merchant just blamed upon the bricklayer. Now the bricklayer says that it was not his fault, it was the fault of the dancer who walked up and down the street, distracting his attention for not making a very good wall. So immediately when the king understood the innocence of the bricklayer, he ordered his men to bring the dancing girl immediately to court. And also we see that the bricklayer says that he knows where she lives, and he might have given the full details of the girl, where she lives. And now we see that the older men or messengers of the court went to find the lady. The dancing girl, now an old woman, came trampling to the court. Did you walk up and down the street many years ago while this poor man was building a wall? Did you see him? Yes, my lord, I remember it very well. So you did walk up and down with your ankles tinkling. You were young and you distracted him, so he built a bad wall, and it has fallen on a poor burglar and killed him. You have killed an innocent man. You will have to be punished. So immediately the king understood that it was not the mistake of the merchant, it was not the mistake of the bricklayer, and now he found guilty with the dancing girls, because she is the one who distracted this bricklayer for not building a strong wall, and his full sight and attention was towards the beautiful dancing girl who was just moving up and down. So because of that reason, this wall, when the burglar entered the merchant's house, it just collapsed and fell on him. He died on the spot. So the king is just questioning. Now you see that once the lady came in front of the court, here we see that she is so old that she walks trembling. Trembling means what? Shaking, or she may be having the support of a cane or stick. Okay, walking stick. So here we see that the king questioned the old dancing girl. She agreed whatever happened. She said, yes, I remember years back I was just moving up the street, down the street, and yes, I really remember that this man was also building a wall there. Then the king understood, yes, here is the real culprit behind the death of the innocent burglar. So you will be, the king said, dancing girl, you will be punished. Okay. She thought for a minute and said, my lord, wait. I know now why I was walking up and down the street. I had given some gold to the goldsmith to make some jewelry for me. He was a lazy scoundrel. He made so many excuses, said he would give it now, then he would give it then, and so on all day. He made me walk up and down to his house a dozen times. That was when his bricklayer saw me. It's not my fault, my lord. It is the damned goldsmith's fault. So now what happened? Once the merchant gave a justification, then who? Then the bricklayer, he also gave justification. Now the dancing girl was also giving the justification. What justification? She said, yes, I agree. Because of me, this bricklayer could not concentrate. But you have to understand one thing. Now I remember why I walked up and down. What is the reason? I have some gold with me. I gave it to a goldsmith for making ornaments. So see, she says that please listen to me before just judging or before giving a verdict to kill me. Okay, as a murderer. After thinking a while, she pleaded, and she says that she was just walking up and down the street because her gold was given to a goldsmith. Who is a goldsmith? Goldsmith is a person who makes jewelry. Okay. So for making jewelry. And actually I just went to his house to collect my gold. But what happened? Really that goldsmith was a dishonest person. He was not loyal to his profession. Whenever I reach the house, he says that it's not finished. You can come after 1 hour. So he made me walk to his house a dozen times a day. Dozen means what? 12 times. Okay. And what happened? That's maybe one of the reason why I was distracting the bricklayer for building a weak wall. Please understand that it was not my fault. It was the goldsmith who made me walk up and down. Only because of him, I was just walking with the jingling sound with my anklet, and that might have distracted. Please consider this case as not my fault, because it's the fault of the goldsmith. He is a dishonest person. He was not loyal to his work. He is the one who made me walk up and down. Now, what happened? The king. King says that, poor thing. She's absolutely right. Though the king, weighing the evidence, we got the real culprit at last. Get the goldsmith wherever he is hiding at once. So what happened? Now, the king understood. What is that? It was not the mistake of the dancing girl. Dancing girl just went up and down. She agreed. And she also said that she is the one who distracted the bricklayer. But she says that there is one reason behind her walking. What is that? It was the goldsmith. And now after hearing all the justification made by the dancing girl, the king looked out the fact and he learned that it was not the fault of the dancing girl. It says that really we got the real culprit at last. Culprit means the accused person. He is the real person who is behind the murder of this burglar. And here we say that the king is ordering his men to bring the goldsmith at once to the court. He wanted the goldsmith to come immediately. Years back, he made the girl move up and down. The walking of the girl distracted the bricklayer. The bricklayer built a weak wall, and that weak wall belongs to the merchant. And one day a burglar broke his wall, and this wall had collapsed on his head and he died. So the culprit behind the death of the burglar is not the merchant, not the bricklayer, not the dancing girl. Finally, the king understood that it is the goldsmith. He ordered his messengers to bring this goldsmith at once to the court. Okay, let's continue. The king's bailiff searched for the goldsmith who was hiding in a corner of his shop. When he heard the accusation against him, he had his own story to tell. My lord, he said, I'm a poor goldsmith. It's true, I made this dancer come many times to my door. I gave her excuses because I couldn't finish making her jewelry before I finished the rich merchant's order. They had a wedding coming and they wouldn't wait. You know how impatient rich men are. So we see that once the goldsmith was called into the court, we see that immediately his messengers or the men of the king just went in search of this goldsmith. He was hiding inside his shop. So this court messengers just took him to the court. Once he came to the court, this goldsmith said, yes, I agree whatever you said. I am responsible for the lady to come into my house dozen times or many times. I was the one who made her because I couldn't complete making her jewelry on time. And he said that, please listen to me, let me give the justification likewise. He said that actually what made me delay to make her jewelry is because of a rich family. And what was the demand of the rich family? Here it says that actually the rich family just made him complete the gold ornaments which was given by them for the wedding of the family. So a wedding is coming very soon. They are not ready to wait. So they forced me to make the jewelry first. So I just kept this lady's ornaments pending. So that's why I just made her to come so many times to my house. And that might have really distracted the bricklayer who was just making the wall there. So, and actually this goldsmith says that, you know, rich people are always very busy, and also they would not spare whatever we give. And also says that rich men are really likewise, they are not ready to wait for their things. So that's the real reason behind making this lady walk. So the goldsmith said that it's not my mistake, it is the mistake, or it was the mistake of the rich person who gave me jewelry to make the ornaments for their wedding. Okay, so the goldsmith says that please don't punish me, it was the rich family who gave me the ornaments to make the jewelry was responsible for this lady coming to my house many times. Okay, now the king. Who is the rich merchant who kept you from finishing this poor woman's jewelry, made her walk up and down, which distracted this bricklayer, which made a mess of his wall, which had now fallen on an innocent man and killed him? Can you name him? So now the king believed whatever the Goldsmith said, and now he was just thinking, and we need to find the person, or we need to find the rich person who just made this Goldsmith delay the jewelry of the lady. And here also we see that, the king is very prudent in finding the person behind, but he was not thinking that what was done by the thief. Actually, the burglar just broke into the merchant's house and he was just trying to loot the things. He was trying to steal the things. But he was not ready to see the fault which was done by the thief. Instead, we see that he was just looking for the man behind the murder of the thief here. So anyhow, when the goldsmith said that it was the mistake of the rich person who made me delay the work of the lady, here we see that the king was just trying to find out the rich person who just delayed, and he just asked the goldsmith to reveal the name. Okay, so the goldsmith reveals the name. The goldsmith named the merchant, and he was none other than the original owner of the house whose wall had fallen. Now justice had come to full circle, thought the king. Back to the merchant. When he was rudely summoned back to the court, he arrived crying, "It wasn't me, but my father who ordered the jewelry. He is dead. I am innocent." So finally what happened? What we see here is when the goldsmith said the name of the merchant or the rich person, when he said the name of the rich person, it was the same merchant whose wall has collapsed and killed the thief. Okay, now the king said, okay, immediately bring the merchant back to the court. Okay, so the messengers went in search of the merchant and messengers brought him to the court. When these messengers told the merchant about what happened in the court, he started crying, because he says that actually he was not the man behind this making of the jewelry. It was his father. And now when we see that when the goldsmith revealed the name of the merchant, the king was happy. Why he was happy? He says that finally I came upon the right man, because this is the second time who comes to the court here. The merchant comes to the court here. Okay, and the king says that yes, at first time itself I was sure that it was the merchant who is the man behind the murder. Okay, and now the king thought that the justice is done. Okay, I am going to give justice to the brother of the thief, who is standing there asking mercy, compensation for the death of his thief brother. Okay, so the king was happy. When the merchant is back to the court, how he came? He was crying. He cried a lot and said to the king that it was not him. Actually, it was his father who just went to the goldsmith to make the jewelry. And also we see that it was not him, it was not the merchant who made the wall, and it was not the merchant who made the jewelry. Both the things was done by whom? Was done by the father of this merchant. So he said, it was not me, your honor, or the king, please listen to me. It was not me who made the jewelry, or it was not me who made the wall. But here we see that when the merchant said whatever he wanted to say towards the king listened carefully, and he said, anyhow, your father is dead. Okay, so what we see here is this king is consulting with the minister, but the king consulted his minister and ruled decisively. It's true, your father is the true murderer. He is dead, but somebody must be punished in his place. You have inherited everything from that criminal father of yours, his riches as well as his sins. I knew at once, even when I first set eyes on you, that you were the root of this horrible crime. You must die. So now, when the king listened to the merchant, the king said, yes, I heard everything what you have said. And immediately after hearing what the merchant said, the king immediately consulted or talked with his minister. He started discussing with the minister about the affairs. Says that what we should do. Anyhow, we need to do justice to the brother who was standing here, who lost his brother. Okay. So after taking a decision with the minister, the final verdict was made by the king. What was that? Yes, I admit that it was your father who is the real criminal behind the murder of this thief or the burglar. Anyhow, we need a person to be punished. Someone needs to be punished. As long as your father is dead, and as far as you are the son who inherited everything that your father possessed once, his richness, his sin, his wall, his ornament, everything is possessed by you. So anyhow, one should die. So you should take the responsibility of the murder which was done by your father. And now the king said that, so as far as you are the son and you inherited everything that possessed by your father, even the money as well as the sin, the king ordered the merchant that you should die. Okay, this was the punishment given by the king. Okay, anyhow, as he ordered a new stake to be made ready for the execution. As the servants sharpened the stake and got it ready for the final impaling of the criminal, it occurred to the minister that the rich merchant was somehow too thin to be properly executed on the stake. He appealed to the king's common sense. The king too worried about it. Okay, the meaning of the difficult words was given here. Stake means a post with a sharp pointed and end used to pierce through something. Okay, and now impaling means to push a sharp pointed post through something. Okay, so now what happened? As per the order given by the king already said that someone needs to be killed or someone needs to be punished. And finally he said, who need to be punished? The merchant needs to be punished because he is the son of the father who gave the ornaments to the goldsmith, and that delayed the work of the dancing girl, and the dancing girl kept on going to his house many times, and because of that reason that distracted the sight or the attention of the bricklayer who made a weak wall, and that wall just fell upon the thief and he died on the spot. So anyhow, who is responsible? The father is responsible. Now, as per the order given by the king, his men made a new stake for executing the punishment or for killing this merchant. Okay. So once the men arranged the stake already we have said that with the pointed end for killing. So once it was made, it seems that the merchant is too thin to execute on the stake. Now who finds it out? The minister. The minister, once after completing the stake, when the stake is ready, he saw that the stake is big enough to murder or to kill, to execute a fat person. But here we see that the merchant is too thin, so it's not fit. Okay, it's too thin to execute on the. He was too thin to execute on the stake. Immediately after looking at the stake, we see that the post in where the person is to be executed or punished or killed or murdered. Here we see that the minister immediately went to the king and said, Your Honor, I don't think that it's going to work out. What is the reason? Because we see that the stake is a big one, but the merchant is very thin. Okay, so what we should do? The king was also worried. How is it possible? He started thinking and started worrying. He stood wondering what to do now. Okay, so here we see that finally when the king finds out the real culprit behind this murder of this thief is the father of this merchant. The merchant's wall actually fell on the thief. But as far as the father is concerned, he is dead. So he can't be given punishment. So someone to be punished. So the king itself found out that the merchant is to be punished. And once he was given order to punish the merchant, a new stake was made. Once the stake was made, it was seen that the stake was too big enough for this person to be killed, and merchant is too thin to execute on the stake. So the minister and the king was standing there wondering what to do. Okay. Let's stop here and let's continue in the next class the rest of the portion. Okay, have a great day. God bless you. Thank you.